of human perfection. Human perfection. Human perfection.
Good evening and welcome to QTV. I'm Michael James.
I'm Matthew Bowe.
And I'm Sharon Mulheron. And welcome to Queensland's only LGBTIQ show for another week.
We're back on the couches and back in your lounge rooms after an incredible launch party on Monday night. Thank you to everybody who came along and supported us.
And yes, I think I've finally recovered. It was really great. Joining us on the couches tonight are Kobi Cook from the Brisbane Pride Festival Committee and David Alexander from Star Observer to talk about a fantastic new movement in Brisbane.
And we'll also be discussing all things entertainment, including talking about films coming up in the Brisbane Queer Film Festival and much more.
But first, as always, we'll start with the news and events that have happened since we last spoke to you. Last weekend, federal opposition leader Tony Abbott's daughters showed support for marriage equality in an interview. They were quoted as saying, "We believe it is inevitable, and we believe by the time our generation gets into power, we hope and pray something is done about marriage equality and gay rights." Their father, however, firmly stated that he does not endorse marriage equality and refused to allow his colleagues a conscience vote on same-sex marriage because it was against party policy, saying while it's party policy, there's no question of a conscience vote. It only becomes a free vote if there is no policy on the subject.
At least the daughters get to have a say. That's what I've got to say about that one.
It's just so funny. All these politicians are coming out and saying, I support same-sex marriage, but none of them are actually doing anything about it. Well, very few of them are actually doing anything about it. So,
absolutely. There are members of the LNP out there who very firmly support marriage equality. But you see him coming out and saying, oh, conscience vote or no conscience vote. It shouldn't be a conscience vote. I don't agree with that. It shouldn't be a conscience vote for the LNP or the ALP because nobody should have to vote on my marriage. It should be law. It should be passed tomorrow. It needs to move forward. But anyway,
Take a deep breath.
Next article, Sharon.
Yes, well, talking about things changing, the pedestrian crossing in Sydney that was painted rainbow for Mardi Gras last month is set to be removed early next week. The New South Wales Roads Minister, Duncan Gray, has ruled out keeping the crossing due to safety issues, including instances of people lying on the road to take photographs. There's been no accidents or injuries, and support to keep the rainbow crossing is growing with the online petition with nearly 15,000 signatures.
That's fantastic. It's just one of those things that Sydney is such a wonderful place. It's in an area that is such a gay-friendly area. It seems to have been bringing a lot of happiness to the locals, and it says in the report it's a low risk of safety issue. So I don't think we're getting the full story here.
Absolutely. People come to Sydney because it's known as the gay capital of Australia. It's iconic for the gay community, and that rainbow crossing was brilliant. That brought people there, and I see no reason to get rid of it. You know, Abbey Road causes so many problems in England, but they don't go and get rid of the crossing. They're keeping it there.
I want to take my kids to see it. They love rainbows.
Meanwhile, in the US, the fate of Proposition 8, California's voter-approved same-sex marriage ban, and the Defense of Marriage Act, which denies marriage benefits to same-sex couples, still remains obscure after US Supreme Court's questionings last week. Justice Anthony M. Kennedy, who probably holds a decisive vote in court, seemed to remain split on the issue, like the rest of the US. He stated, "We have had 5 years of information to weigh against 2,000 years of history or more." Then continuing that California has 40,000 children living with same-sex couples who want their parents to have full recognition and full status. The voice of these children is important in this case.
That's 40,000 just in California.
That's beautiful. 40,000 kids. That's 40,000 families that are going to be completed. The kids are going to get to see their parents walk down the aisles. I mean, that's what this is about. It's about creating and solidifying the family unit. And that's what marriage equality is all about.
And imagine being a family where you can walk down the aisle before you actually have your family as well. Like, 2,000 years of people have been doing, I guess. It's time for equality.
These families are already happening. The relationships are there. The children are there. All they need is a government who supposedly wants to protect marriage and relationships to make it legal. Support everybody, and then it's already happening.
Absolutely.
You know, Aussie DJ, model and television presenter Ruby Rose has apologised for cancelling tour dates after announcing she was losing her battle with depression. She tweeted, as cancelled dates this month, "I'm very sorry, but these things need attention sometimes. I urge you to do all the same if you're feeling down." This was quickly followed by a flood of support from her fans.
That's such a brave move. I mean, to be able to stand up there in front of millions of people and say that you're fighting something that I think has got so much stigma around it. People have a lot to say about mental health and depression, and I take my hat off to her. It takes a lot of guts, and I really hope she's going to do really well and get better.
It's such a common issue, and I think if anyone's a true fan of someone, they kind of have to understand that the person's mental well-being and health is so important. And yeah, good on her for coming out, because there is a stigma and there shouldn't be, because depression is such a widespread issue.
I totally agree with you, Matt.
And finally, a Tasmanian member of the Legislative Council has tabled a motion to bring back a same-sex marriage bill to the state parliament. If the motion is supported, the bill could be debated again later in the year. Tasmanian gay and lesbian rights group spokesperson Rodney Croom said, with same-sex marriage imminent in Britain, France and New Zealand, but no change likely anytime soon at a federal level, Tasmania has another opportunity to lead the nation on this important reform.
That's really interesting. I mean, I don't fully understand how that works, that Tasmania gets to have their own legislation, but if they can, go for it. Like, it's one more step in the right direction. It's fantastic.
Hopefully the pressure will put on the other states to see this is working and the world hasn't ended by happy couples being able to be married.
So true. So true.
In June 2012, Attorney General Jared Blage announced the Queensland government's plans to introduce a bill to drastically limit Queensland's access to surrogacy to have children. The bill was proposed to repeal laws allowing single people, same-sex couples and de facto couples to use altruistic surrogacy. It is now believed that the bill has been quietly shelved after moderates in the party expressed dissent at the plans, including Premier Campbell Newman. The Liberal Party's latest 6-month plan makes no mention of the surrogacy bill or any proposed amendments to the Surrogacy Act. Fantastic. That is just what we wanted to hear. It was really disappointing to hear that news, but it's great that there's not going to be anything happening with it. And that's all of the news for today, and we'll be right back with you at QTV right after these breaks.
See you soon.
Welcome back to QTV. Now, don't forget, anytime tonight you can join us live on Twitter, just using our hashtag @QTVBrisbane. Now, for our next segment, we've got a couple of special guests joining us here on the couch. We have David Alexander of the Star Observer, and we have Kobi Cook of Brisbane Pride Festival. Now, David and Kobi have been working together with the community on putting a particular event and campaign together at the moment. David, can you tell me a little bit more about what exactly is going on?
Of course I can. It's actually apropos to your earlier story about Ruby Rose tweeting about her depression. A group of us from the Brisbane LGBTI community have come together because we're concerned about recent occurrences and recent developments in the Brisbane community that have worried us about the state of mental health. And we're just coming together because we want to advocate for awareness and support.
So I believe that you're doing this along with some support from Sally Morris at Healthy Communities,
Yes.
and
Andrew Thompson from Out and About, and Phil Brown, who is a very well-known advocate in the Brisbane community.
This is a great thing, I think, guys.
And you're putting an event on, is that right, Kobi?
We've got 2 events. We've got a fundraiser dance party downstairs at the Sporties on the
Saturday the 13th?
Saturday the 13th. And it was just a last-minute throw-together type thing. And then we have a community picnic on the Sunday the 14th.
Fantastic.
So may I ask, what prompted you all to get together, and how did you start contacting each other to start organising this sort of group?
Well, like I said, a few things have been going on in the community that have worried us. A fair few people are suffering in silence in regards to depression and mental health. And it seems every week we're hearing stories of people suffering, and we're just really concerned and want to do something. And we're working in conjunction with the Are You OK Day organisation group and also Healthy Communities.
That's fantastic. And Kobi, so what's going to happen on the day? So there's a picnic happening on Sunday the 14th. So where is that going to be held, and who will be there, and what do you plan on doing for the day?
Phil Brown's actually organising it. It's down in New Farm Park at this stage.
Fantastic.
We're just fine-tuning the actual event space. But I guess the whole thing is to get everyone involved and to destigmatise the fact that they might be having issues or they might be having any sort of problem at all, and be opening up to talking even with their best friends. Like tonight, before I came here, my very best friend told me he just started on antidepressants today, and I had no idea that he was even feeling that way. So it just shows how close to home it can be sometimes. And I know that I got a message from a friend today, and he said that he was really super pleased about the Are You OK campaign that we were working with, and that he had someone recently ask him if he was okay, and he said that really helped pull him through because he was having a really rough time. So we know it's already working just by getting people to ask their friends that are they doing all right.
That's fantastic.
I had a friend the other day on Facebook just say that, he'd had enough, that was it. And I quickly messaged, "Are you okay?" And he messaged back, "Oh yeah, just over it for the night, I'm heading home." But he said, thank you for asking. And I think that's what you guys are
It's all about just talking, because as Kobi said, there's just a huge stigma attached to it. And, we as a LGBTI community, we suffer from enough stigma as it is, and we just need to talk.
It's one of those things, isn't it, that I suppose that we all say to each other, hello, how are you? Even at the checkouts, best friends, family, whatever, but people don't really necessarily mean it. And I think Are You OK really changes and makes it mean it's a direct question that you're wanting an honest answer for.
Excellent. And obviously you've been working with the communities, you've been doing that. Do you know if we have any particular mental health services that are available, even just for people to speak to, that are specific to the GLBTIQ community, people that can help and reach out?
Well, there is the GLWA, Gay and Lesbian Welfare Association, who run a helpline from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. weeknights. Unfortunately, because of funding, that's the only time they can actually provide the service. There's also, your lifelines and your kids helpline, but just for the Brisbane and, I guess, Queensland queer community, it's mainly the GLWA.
I heard recently that when their phone lines aren't operating, that the call actually gets switched through to another part of Australia, whoever might be operating in that other part of the country.
That's an upcoming new initiative that the GLWA is a part of. It's a national initiative from mental health group targeting the gay community.
Because it's quite a sad thing that the gay and lesbian community is unfortunately suffer from higher levels of anxiety and depression.
Up to about 4 times, or at minimum 4 times the rate of the heterosexual population.
So I suppose that a lot of our viewers and that are watching need to keep that in mind, especially if they're not part of the gay and lesbian community. We've got a wider community out there, and they can also support us by giving us just a smile. Even sometimes is nice to get, isn't it?
Absolutely, and it's fantastic because it's really encouraging people to turn to the person beside you, whether that be digitally or in person, and if you feel like they are suffering, that they know that they can then come to you to help. We don't have to go and pay a psychologist or pick up the phone. That's why we have friends. And I think the digital world has really broken that barrier, or even built up a barrier, if you will, where people are less inclined to be able to speak to each other and actually engage on a personal level to know how we're all doing.
So where can we find out more information on what you're doing and how you're organising things?
Well, we do have a Facebook page that will hopefully be up on your Twitter and Facebook, and we will be tweeting the address on our social media. But we don't actually have a website as yet. But you can always go to the areyouok.org.au and crack.org.au.
So Facebook is probably the best place for people to get up to date and connect with you for the best time?
Well, even better, even if they've just got a friend they could drag along to the picnic on the Sunday would be great, because some of the organisations that have the facilities to offer people will hopefully be there as well. And it's just a community getting together
That's fantastic.
in general. So
Are you guys looking for other people to come on board and help you with this initiative?
you can never have too many people helping out.
Yeah, if we can get as many people down there as possible to get on board with this initiative, it'll be great. So it's at New Farm Park, and it's on Sunday the 14th, and that's, I'm assuming, a lunchtime picnic. Now, we'll have all those details will be up on our Facebook page, which you can find at QTV Brisbane on Facebook. You can also check out our Twitter, as I said before. You'll see all of our usernames on screen. Thank you very, very much to both David and Kobi for joining us for a brilliant initiative as well. For the community, we'll be thanking you as well. We will be back after these very short breaks here at QTV.